Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the pod. Today we're going to be talking about the dark state of the world we're living in and how it's going to get better. Very, very different kind of topic than I usually address. Usually I'm talking more internal struggles, things that people go through personally. But today we're going to be on a macro scale, looking at the entire world and the state of it and the history of the world and how we're going to come up from this period of time that we're currently going through that is clearly very, very awful. There's a lot of bad, dark things going on in the world right now. And I feel like this has become like a recent, like in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, since Charlie Kirk got shot, it's been this like, people are starting to realize like, oh my God, the world is cooked. But I don't know. That's just some people. That's a very small demographic. Started to realize it after that happened because that was such a hard thing to watch. I'm not going to be going super in depth on specific topics. There's so much going on. There's the genocide happening in Palestine. I'm Palestinian. I've been watching that for the last 2 years. And as a kid, I was watching it happening without any media coverage, without any social media blowing it up, making it popularized. Nepal just burned down the Capitol building in Nepal because they hate their government. Everyone seems dissatisfied. There's so much unrest all over the world. The truth is this has been going on for a while, since 2008, since the financial housing market crash where everyone got cooked. This has been going on for a long time. And today I wanted to talk about something called the fourth turning theory. There's a book by, I don't remember his name. I think it's like Robert Strauss or something. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's called the fourth turning. The fourth turning theory. Basically, this theory, if you trace back the history of the world, if you trace back history, it can be pretty clearly traced into these 80-year blocks of time. And these 80-year blocks of time can be split into four 20-year blocks of time. 20-ish, like 20 to 22, 18 to 22-year blocks of time where we have gone through the same sort of thing. And this cycle has continued. And it can be traced back generations and generations and generations. So the first of these 20-year blocks of time is the high period. This is when everything is good. There's not a whole lot of, individualism, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because people become more individuals. They become more individualized. I don't know, become more of their own person when things are bad and they feel like they're not content with the systems that are in place for them, So during the high period, generally people are content with being a part of a system. So the institutions that they live under, the government, the whatever, it's good for them. It works well for them and they don't mind it. So they have no need to find fulfillment in becoming their own person and having this as part of their identity and this, because they morally, ethically, culturally, everything, they align with the governments that they're under. That's the high period. The last time we went through a high period, it was post-World War II. It was like when the idea of the American dream became a thing. It was like 1940s to 1960s, right? This time period where it's like baby boomers, World War II was over, everyone was happy. You could go get a house, you had your GI Bill, you get married. They were having tons of kids because everything was so great. And babies have stopped being born as much in America since that period. That was the peak, and since then we've gone down. We haven't been reproducing as much because the world has gotten darker and people don't feel comfortable bringing people into the world. It was this time of suburban growth. So the suburbs are like this. I just moved away from the suburbs, finally made it to a city, which has been a dream of mine since I was like 16. So I'm finally in a big city and I'm happy about it. But for building a family and long-term growth and happiness, suburbs is like the most comfortable living style. I can see that now after stepping away from living in Plano, Texas, and coming to live in Vienna. I've been able to kind of take a step back and be like, wow, it was very convenient to have a drive-through when I'm hungry and there's no food at home. I can just go pop in at 11 p.m. and some some minimum wage worker can make me some food. Like, it's a very convenient lifestyle living in the suburbs. When you go to the grocery store, you have a giant shopping cart, and then you drive your giant shopping cart with tons and tons of $200 of groceries out to your car. Pop the trunk of your electronic vehicle. The trunk opens itself even while you grab the first of the bags and set them down. You can get as many groceries as you want in one trip. When you live in a big city, you need to make sure it fits in your grocery tote or whatever you're using to carry it back to your place, because most of the time you're not driving to the grocery store when you live in a city. So this concept of the suburbs became a thing during the previous high period. There was lots of suburban growth. Next up, the second of these periods of 20-year spans of time is called the awakening. So the awakening is kind of like what it sounds like. You were in this state of high. Everything was great. Everything was dandy. But then after 25 years in this great time period, this golden age of your 80-year span, you start to find problems. Society starts to find things that, hey, maybe we don't have it all figured out, or maybe we used to have it figured out and things have declined in the last 25 years. For example, last time we went through this, it was like the whole, what was it called? The Lost Generation or something? The Lost Generation, I think. It was like in the 70s. These kids all grew up and they didn't feel aligned with the morals and values of the older generation, the people who were born in the high time. And that was like Woodstock, the Woodstock Festival. People were taking drugs, and it was like this whole thing. The Stonewall riots. Civil rights movement started here. It really began during this period. 70s, 80s is when it really got going, and it would just escalate from there. It was this like spiritual revolution, this period of people finding problems, which isn't a bad thing, like you want to improve your life as much as you can, and after a certain time you want more than you had. We're just going up as a society, and this is the start of that. This period, the awakening, is the start of that. The third period is called the unraveling, and this was about the 90s, 2010s. It's sort of the opposite of the high period. During the high period, the institution was very strong and the individualism was very weak. But in the unraveling, individualism became way more prevalent, and people had their own opinions on things, and they didn't agree with their government most of the time. And this started to take shape during this period. I don't know why I'm saying it all in the past. It happens over and over and over. That's the whole point. But I'm just talking specifically for the sake of the examples. I'm talking about like building up to right now. People got a little smarter. They didn't trust their government 100% anymore. They understood the idea of propaganda, and that just because you see something over and over and over and over doesn't mean the Vietnamese people are evil monsters. They started to understand that. Which war was it that was like the first war that was televised? Was it Vietnam? It might have been Vietnam. I think it was Vietnam. I don't know. I could sound stupid, but let me know in the comments. I really wish I paid more attention in history, because history is like the only thing that's like factual, and like not rooted in any research even. It's just so interesting to see how it's all just stories, and you see how they played out and how it affects the future. And history is a cool major. If I could major in anything and just start my undergrad over, I'd probably do like anthropology or something in history. But like you can't really do that much with that long term. I don't know. So that was a bit of a side tangent. All right, so that brings us to the fourth period, which is crisis, which is also the period that we are currently in. And it started in 2008 with the housing market collapse. If you think about it, since 2008, we've been in a steady state of decline, right? And these history blocks, these 22 years is like the max that's like defined in the book. 22-year period is the longest it gets. 2008, 22 years after 2008, is 2030. Right now it's 2025. I don't know if you're watching this in the future. Maybe you seeing this on your YouTube recommended and the title says something about in 5 years everything will be fine or something, and you're like, oh my god, it's been 5 years since this video came out, and then you clicked on it. But right now it's 2025. And according to the theory, which has been proven over and over and over, which not to say that there's never going to be outliers to a theory, because we can't actually predict the future. But according to that, we have about 5 years until everything gets smoothed over and we enter the high period, which is, man, it's kind of a relief thinking about how, like, there's all this stuff going on, but there's always been stuff going on. There's always, like, if you think back in history, there's always been empires collapsing, and the strongest must fall eventually, you know? And it gives me some solace, some hope to think that maybe my kids will get to grow up in a period of joy. My kids will get to grow up like the baby boomers grew up, like in a good, happy, jolly world where people are more content than they are right now, because there's a lot of shit going on right now. So besides the 2008 housing crisis, what are we talking? What happened since then? We've had COVID. We had a global pandemic. We've had like some of the most tumultuous presidential campaigns of like the entire history of the United States. And not for some reason, and the world kind of, whether you like it or not, kind of revolves around the US and its economy and its government and the laws and everything. Like, especially with Trump, bro. He's like, since I've been in Europe, everyone's like, Trump, blah, 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 blah. And he's like adding tariffs. Like, everyone is being affected by our presidents. And I think you don't really think about that as an American. You don't really think like, oh, this is more than just the U.S. This is like the whole world gets affected by the decisions that the U.S. makes, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. And I don't know if that's how things should be. It's not how things should be, in my opinion. This is getting political. Wow, I've never had like a political talk on here. Because honestly, I'm not like, I don't know enough about politics to really feel like I can add something worthwhile to the conversation, you know. But I'm doing my best here, just because this has been something that's on my mind, and this podcast is really just about whatever's on my mind. There's probably more. What am I thinking? Yeah, we had like crazy presidential things. Like, I don't think it was ever like this divided. The nation's ever been this divided, at least not in the past 80 years, right? I don't know. Maybe if someone older is watching this, they can correct me on this, but I don't think that the US has been this divided on this many presidential elections in a row for a while. Like, if you look at the numbers, almost every presidential election since 2008. 2008 was who? Obama versus, was it Mitt Romney, or was that 2012? I don't know. I was a kid. I was 5 years old in 2008. I think Mitt Romney was 2012. I don't know who 2008 he went against. But then we had 2016, Trump and Hillary. And then we had Trump Biden. And then Trump Biden again, or Trump Kamala. It's just been this very, if you look at the numbers, like, it's pretty much split. The popular vote is split like 50-50, almost exclusively for the entire last 20 years. Like, our nation is divided, and then we wonder why, like, why there's so much hatred between people. And man, like, we just have so much to figure out. And it's hard to picture that. Like, this, we're supposedly supposed to enter this high period in the next 5 years, but how are all these things just gonna get resolved? But at the same time, I was thinking about The Pianist. It's a movie. It's a Holocaust movie, and it's like one of the saddest movies you'll ever watch. I would totally recommend you watch it. It was a great watch. It reminded me a lot about what's going on now in Palestine, and it was really difficult to sit through, because it's very, very, like, I saw there were scenes in the movie that I've literally seen the exact same thing happen on like an Instagram reel. Like, there's a scene in the movie where they're looking out the window. The police come down their street, and it's like a Jewish street. Most people there are Jewish, and the police like go knock. Everyone like turns off their lights and closes the. I don't know why. I think they have like a time when they have to go to bed or something, or else the police will come and blah 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 blah. So one house didn't turn off their lights, I think, and then the police went up there, and threw like an old man in a wheelchair. They picked him up, and threw him in the wheelchair off the balcony. It's so dark and so hard to watch that scene. But I've seen a video of an old man getting thrown off like the top of a building in Palestine, and I remember watching that and being like, man, it's so weird, man. History just repeats itself, and like humans are so dumb. We just keep falling for the same shit, and it pisses me off. What was I talking about to do with the pianist? I had a point to get to. Oh, I was discussing how it's hard to envision the idea that things will get better. But then I was thinking about the pianist. I don't know how long. I watched it a while back. I don't know how long exactly the time period of that movie was. Like how long this guy was on his own, surviving through the Holocaust, like undercover. But things got resolved within like a few years of him living there, starving. Basically, it's about his entire family goes to Auschwitz, and he somehow gets out of it because one of his friends is a member of the police, and he grabs him and he's like, go here. And then he hid away for like a week under like some floorboards by himself or with some other guy. And then eventually he gets separated from that guy, or the guy dies, and he ends up just, it's a true story as well. He ends up just crawling through the rubble of buildings and scavenging old houses, like destroyed houses, for cans of food. And it's like, so there's not even any like very much dialogue at all in the second half of the movie, and it's a long movie. It's like 3 hours of him just like trying to survive, and you feel it, and you watch him age and get sick, and like you watch him just become this disheveled shell of the person he was at the beginning. And then suddenly everything's good, and the Holocaust ended, and the what was it? What treaty was it that ended the thing? Man, see, this is why I needed to pay more attention in WAP, my world history class. I don't remember what treaty it was, but you know where Germany like got like a stern talking to, where they're like, okay, you have all these things you have to do now, and everything must be resolved. When they just kind of bitched Germany. That happened, and everything went back to normal, and things were fixed, and that was the beginning of the high period in America and in other parts of the world. And so you think about that. You think of everything that we're going through, everything that we have to watch, because a lot of us are. It's almost this like shameful privilege to be able to not experience anything that bad. The biggest struggles most of us go through, and if you're watching this video, you're probably going through, is like oh, inflation, my sandwich at lunch is like $2 more expensive than it was, and yeah, that's annoying, but like we are shamefully privileged to be able to just sit and watch other people struggling much harder through our screens. Like, we have it the best. We're frustrated. We're sick of ICE deporting people for no reason and raiding all these things and doing all these things, right? But we have this undeniable privilege to be able to stand up and say something about it, because a lot of people who are going through this stuff right now are not able to do that. They're not able to have that voice without being in fear for themselves or their families. Things are just cooked right now. Another thing I wanted to talk about that's mentioned I don't know if it was mentioned in the Fourth Turning book, or if it was mentioned in an earlier work by the same author, but I think it was the earlier book. He made a book in 1980 something, I believe, maybe 83, called Generations, and in that book they talked about the same kind of thing, where there's these 80-year cycles, but they discussed the people who were born in each generation. I was just like doing some research on this before I like when I was planning out the episode. And I came across something that I just found really interesting. Basically, we have the prophet, the nomad, the hero, and the artist. Those are the four what's the word? Archetypes of people who are born. The prophet is the idealist. They see everything in a positive light. They see things like, oh wow, everything is hunky dory, everything's great, because that's the place they grew up in. That's the time period they had. And then we have the nomad, who is reactive. They're in this strange period where they were raised by people who think everything is great, but they have to be somewhat questioning because people around them are starting to say, hey, but we have this problem. This isn't resolved yet. I still have problems with this and this and this. And so they have to be more reactive to that and be a little more, I hate when I can't think of the word I need. Be a little more doubtful, not doubtful. It means doubtful, but cynical, questioning. I'm so mad because there's a perfect word and I know it exists. I just can't remember it right now. God, I hate that. I hate that. That's like literally my pet peeve. So when I'm just trying to get a thought out and I have the wrong word there. I can't grasp it. It's right there, but I don't know what it is. Okay. And then we have the hero who was born in the unraveling stage. And this person has to be it says it was the hero and then in parentheses, civic. So we have prophet, idealist, nomad, reactive, hero, civic. What does civic even mean? I think civic is like is that like a political thing? Like being civil? I don't know. I don't know what civic means. Like a Honda Civic? I think civic is like they're good at negotiating and trying to solve problems. And that also goes with hero. So I think it's like a problem solver, a civic. They like take both sides into account and they're like, look, solution, boom. That's my guess. I don't know. But the one that really interested me, more than anything, the one that interested me the most are the people born in the crisis era. Technically, I guess I was technically born in the hero era. Since it was before 2008 I was born. That kind of ruins my thought process. But I grew up in the artist adaptive, which is the crisis stage. People born in the crisis stage after 2008, according to the current cycle, are known as the artist, and they're adaptive. They grow up overprotected because they're in a world where things are so screwed up, like their parents are trying to protect them. So they grow up in this kind of like underneath this shell, but know that there's bad stuff out there. You know, basically a lot of people who were born in this period of crisis, or like me on the cusp of it. Maybe, so that means I'm a hero and an artist? I'll take that. A hero and artist, because I was born in the unraveling. But now we're in this feels kind of like the Crystal Girl stuff. What's the word? Why can't I think of it? Astrology. It feels like astrology. But it's like cool because it's actually rooted in something. You know, it's really interesting to me. They generally grow up more overprotected. They become sensitive and understanding of different aspects and cultures and all these different perspectives on the world. Because when you grow up in crisis, you grow up around people with lots of varying opinions. It's not like the high stage at all, where everyone has a general consensus where they're like, yeah, this is the truth that most people follow. And so you kind of learn to play both sides. And I think that I identify with that a lot. Like I feel like I understand everybody's perspective on everything. Like I have friends who are Israeli and are like Zionists. I can completely understand so many arguments. I have my beliefs and I have what I think is right. But when other people come to me and they say like, we shouldn't have strict gun laws, I think we should have strict gun laws. Someone comes to me and they're like, oh no, it's a whatever amendment, something, yeah, we got a right to defend ourselves, right to bear arms. I don't agree with what they're saying, but I understand how they can end up in a place in their lives where they have these opinions. It's all about how you were raised, the people who raised you, where you were raised, the people around you when you were raised. It's all about how you were nurtured growing up. And so can you really look at someone who has a different opinion than you and tell them you are vile, you are a cruel monster because you have this wrong opinion? Like, sure, you can be completely wrong. They could be completely wrong, but how are you going to tell them they are awful, they're evil just because they have a different opinion? They didn't control the opinion. You know, like that's how they were raised. That's how their mind was put together when they were little. Like, I don't know. I've always been able to like see both sides. And I think I've had like good conversations with a wide variety of people because of that. But the reason they're called an artist is because they take both sides and they understand this and they make stuff with it. And maybe I'm taking it too literally. Maybe it's not literally the artist, but apparently a lot of artists, famous artists from throughout time, were born in a crisis era. Making art becomes this outlet to understand the struggles that you're going through and the world's going through. It's like what I'm doing right now. I don't know if you could call a podcast art when I'm just sitting on a chair talking, but it's like the same concept, you know? I have all these thoughts and I wanted to get them out, and here you are. Here we all are sitting here talking about it. When I was writing out what I want to talk about for the video, I got to this point in the planning where I was talking about art and the importance of art. And I started thinking about how many people don't see the importance of art. And that's probably because they were born in a different period of time of these four history blocks. But I have this thought, right? There's a word in Arabic. The word for, how do you say this? Like philosophizing. I don't think that's even a word in English, but you get the gist by me saying philosophizing. Like doing philosophy, the act of doing philosophy, of philosophizing. Philosophizing? Is that a word? No, that's not a word. Philosophizing. Philosophying. Whatever. The word in Arabic for that is felsefe. And it sort of has like it's a negatively connotated word. When you say felsefe, like my mom would say something like بدون felsefe as a kid. So I never even really knew what it meant literally, but I just knew like the context clues. بدون felsefe is like without philosophizing. It's like I'm saying something, she's like بدون felsefe, like stop like whining kinda. And it annoys me that art, right, which everyone enjoys in some way or another. All the media you consume, most of the media you consume can count as art. All the things you do, the music you listen to, all these things wouldn't exist without felsefe, without philosophizing, without someone sitting there and thinking about thoughts and just doing the dumb human thing where we overthink something and then want to make something out of it. And when I was thinking about this and this word felsefe, I started thinking about this clip I saw of Ethan Hawke. I'm going to play it for you guys because it really touched me.
Is a thing that worries me sometimes whenever you talk about creativity, because it can have this kind of feel that it's just nice. It's not. It's vital. It's the way we heal each other. Most people don't spend a lot of time thinking about poetry until their father dies. They go to a funeral. You lose a child. Somebody breaks your heart. They don't love you anymore. And all of a sudden, you're desperate for making sense out of this life. And has anybody ever felt this bad before? How did they come out of this cloud? Or the inverse, something great. You meet somebody and your heart explodes. You love them so much you can't even see straight. And that's when art's not a luxury. It's actually sustenance. We need it. In singing our song, in telling our story, in inviting you to say, hey, listen to me, and I'll listen to you, we're starting a dialogue. And we start to witness each other's common humanity.
And see, he was talking about like art. People do not understand the importance of art until they are faced with a dilemma where they need it. Till your mom dies, or you get your heart broken, or something happens, and something's like till you're going through something difficult, a crisis, then suddenly you need art. And I've told this story a million times, but that's how I started my channel. I was like depressed for 3 years, and then I was like, I want to start making videos. I need an outlet. And that's what I did. I was going through a bad time, started making art as an outlet. And the point is, you will need art in your life. You will. At some point or another, you're going to end up in the situation where you're going to do something artistic. Maybe you just write something down. Something's bothering you. A sentence pops into your head. You're like, man, I'm going to write that down. That feels significant to me in this moment with what I'm going through in the context of everything else surrounding it. And even if you're not writing it down, even if you're not actively doing it yourself, you're going to need a song or a movie about something that you relate to, or you see yourself in the main character, you see yourself in the lyrics of a song. You're going to need art in your life. And that was a little side tangent, but I just don't like when I hate the word felsefe and that it's negatively connotated. I started telling my mom, like in the past couple of years, whenever she's like something felsefe, I'm like, بدي أفلسف. Like I wanna philosophize. I just would like reverse it at her, but say it in a positive way. I don't know. I'm gonna boycott the negative connotations on the Arabic word felsefe. That's my plan. And if you guys want to join me, you feel free. So yeah, I guess in summary, the world is really messed up right now. It's pretty sad. Everything's really dark, and it can feel hard to hold on to hope in these moments. But give it 5 years. By 2030, I'd say there's a good chance that we have it a lot better than we have it right now. All right. Let's do some advice. If you're new here, this is the segment of the show where we go through the advice column link in the description of this video, podcast, whatever. If you really want some advice, pop it in there. We get like 10 submissions a week, so it's really not that hard to get featured on the show. Completely anonymous. I don't know your email. I don't know your name. I don't know anything. I just see what you write. And then I give you really poor advice. Really not great advice, but you guys seem to want it, so we're going to keep this thing going. Dude, you're literally me, low-key. I want to be a fashion designer and make my own brand. Ever since I was young, that was my dream. But I study an IT major and I hate it. I try to do my best so I can gain respect from society and family, but deep down, this isn't who I am and where I want to be. My fear seems bigger than choosing what I actually want, but also, what if I'm 40 years old and regretting this? Listen, I did IT in college for my bachelor's, and now I'm in my master's for digital economy. Neither of those really have all that much to do with making videos online, which is my dream, right? And I'm telling you from someone who's literally running a clothing brand and my podcast and my YouTube channel and making short form videos and trying to like clip them and also do well at school in my master's at the exact same time. You have time to do both. You don't need a fashion degree to be a fashion designer. You just don't. Like, maybe you can make some connections, but with the internet, I'm sure you can make just as many connections online for fashion things. You can do both. You can design your things. You can talk to manufacturers, try to make them, and try to get it out there on social media, all while studying your IT degree. And if you really, really don't want to do your IT degree, you can drop it. Like, you didn't hear this from me, but you could just drop it and like go chase your dreams full time. This is what I mean by this is really bad advice, and you guys should take it with a grain of salt. But I'm just telling you like what goes through my head if I was in this situation. The two options are thug it out, which is what I did, and just do both, or just drop it and go full time in fashion design. Yo, what is going on with this question? I don't even know what this says. Hold on, let me read it. What? Like, I want to read this because I'm so confused. I have so many questions. Dear Diary, nothing bad is going. I like that, by the way. I like this, starting it with Dear Diary and then like talking about your problems. Can we make that a regular thing? From now on, you have to say Dear Diary at the beginning of the thing, because that's kind of epic. That's so on brand. Thank you, whoever this is. Dear Diary, nothing bad is going on, but my friend joined the Hamilton community after bullying me for 2 years, and I really like history, but she brought it down, but I don't know if it's just me or I just don't like it. And she's even more toxic by ignoring me going to the ER/hospital and flex that her dog went through 5 surgeries and confirmed supporting AI, and likes to argue with me over nothing, which is a typical teenage thing we go through. I don't know what to do anymore because I can't stand up for myself, and she always uses her friends as little minions against me when I stand up for myself. I want advice on how to stand up for myself and just try to identify good people to be friends with. I just have so many questions right now. My friend joined the Hamilton community, like the musical, like she started enjoying the musical Hamilton and talking about the songs. Is that what you're talking about? After bullying you about Hamilton and you really like history, and she like put a damper on your love for history during that 2 years of bullying, and then she joined anyway. And she, man, what? She ignored when you went to the ER. Okay, that's not cool. Flex that her dog went through 5 surgeries. I don't know how you flex that. I'm sorry, I have like no advice. I'm just laughing at like what this is like such a strange scenario. What is going on? It's just so all over the place. How do you flex? Yeah, yeah. My dog actually had a loosened tibula. We had to reattach her tibula, and then her fibula also. And then she broke her leg, so we fixed that. Yeah, and then she had 2 eye surgeries, one on each eye, so that's 5. So I don't know. My dog's kind of a baller. Like, how do you flex that your dog had 5 surgeries? I genuinely don't understand. And it's confirmed she supports AI. Okay, it's fucked up. Likes to argue with me over nothing. I don't know. You want good friends and you want to learn how to stand up for yourself. You don't even need to stand up for yourself. You just can separate yourself from the scenario. Clearly, this is bothering you, and this person is bothering you, and you just don't need that kind of person around. You don't even have to like make it a whole thing and a big fuss and friendship breakup and end it. Just like slowly disappear, reply less. She'll slowly fade from your life. That's how it goes. And I'm sure you'll live through this. Dude, Loki, what if we just turn this into like story time where you guys send in your stories and I read and react to them? That'd be so fun. That would be so enjoyable. Then I just get to read and like have fun. I don't even have to give advice. This person says, I'm mad at everything. My friends, the state of our world, how I'm stuck here, myself. I don't even know why. I'm just angry. I feel you, girl. I feel you. I'm pretty angry too. That's kind of why I made this video. That's why I talked about the state of our world today, which is something I've never really done, except like maybe on my Instagram story, but not to this extent. Definitely, it's easy to feel frustrated at this time, but one other thing I wrote in my journal that I didn't mention, it was the last thing I wrote down. Personally, with a line under it, 5 years from now, nothing you worry about will matter. You're really angry right now with your friends in the state of the world, how you're stuck here. And I think about myself 5 years ago. I was 16 years old, and I was like just pissed off, high schooler. And I was like, I want to get out of this town. I don't even know. What was I worried about at 16? I feel like I don't even remember my life before 17 years old. I genuinely don't know what I was stressing about at 16. And that kind of proves my point. Like 5 years from now, everything will be fine. So if you're going through really sad, dark, hard times, or you're angry, or feeling just hopeless in any way about the state of the world or your own life, give it 5 years. Probably get better. It'll probably get better. You'll probably have new problems. And that's just the cycle of life. I think that in its own way, it's pretty beautiful. I feel like I've answered a lot of these questions. Okay, I have so much to say about this. Maybe I've talked about it a little bit, but not much. Dealing with uncertainty about what you want for your future, but also what your parents want for your future. It sort of conflicts, and I just don't really know what to do. Sorry, I went and got a hat. There was a guy on a motorcycle outside being really loud and obnoxious and revving it a lot. So I got a hat because my hair was annoying me. And it's still kind of annoying me. I just need a haircut. Anyways, this is something I've learned more recently. Sometimes your goals for yourself are very different than the goals your parents have for you. And it's normal, I think, for parents to have goals for their children. You know, it's normal to have a vision for your kid. Imagine raising a kid when it's like a baby, like it can't do anything. You're like, one day my kid is going to be amazing. And then they get older and they start having their own interpretations of the word amazing. And you're kind of like, no, no, I did all this. I want you to do this thing. It was my dream. And it's hard for parents to let go of that sometimes, which isn't necessarily a good thing. I think my parents are very, very overbearing sometimes, my family. And that comes in a lot of shapes and forms. And I think that can happen in a lot of shapes and forms, but they mean well at the end of the day. And as scary as it is, like my biggest fear is like disappointing my parents. And they don't want me to be a freaking YouTuber, but I have told them every day, every time it comes up for the last 3 years that this is what I'm going to do with my life. I've been adamantly clear that the only thing I will be satisfied with in my life, yeah, I'll go to college. I'll get all these degrees. I'll do all these things just in case. That's what I've told them. Because the only thing that will make me completely satisfied with my life is if I am doing this as my full-time job someday. And they know that, but they still push back on it. And it's this never-ending battle, and I don't think it'll end until I've done it, you know? And I think the hardest part isn't that they're not on board, because I know they're not on board. The hardest part is doing it every day and getting up and working on my videos without anyone supporting the idea. There's a baby crying outside. Yeah, I'd say the hardest part is them not supporting the idea, them not being like, oh, how did your new video go? But also, like, if they did do that, it would be so weird because I've never experienced that from anyone in my life. Like, if I don't know, and maybe if they were more supportive, I wouldn't be as like hell-bent on it. Maybe if they were like, yeah, you do it. You can do whatever, son. I believe in you. I wouldn't have this like chip on my shoulder where I just get up every day and make the video that I know is not going to get very many views over and over for 3 years straight. I feel like it kind of pushes me to try harder. Sorry, what was the question? Let me try to answer it, wrap it up. Dealing with uncertainty. I would say the way to deal with it is they need a little push. My mom didn't really want me to move across the world and make my videos in Europe. She needed a little push. That happens with families, you know? At the end of the day, and I hate this piece of advice because people used to tell me this all the time when I would complain about, oh, they won't let me do this. When I was in high school and stuff, they would tell me, at the end of the day, it's your life. And I would be like, yeah, but they're going to freaking be mad if I don't do this thing. And so I hated that piece of advice, but at a certain point, you realize, like, your parents are going to love you no matter what. And they're going to be there. You're going to be fine. If you want to make a decision, like going to study abroad, sometimes they just need a push. For me, she said like, no, and I kept saying yes, and then I just paid for everything. I saved up my money, and I was like, hey, I bought a plane ticket to Europe, and I paid the deposit for my spot in the school, blah, blah, blah. And I explained it to her, and she was still like, no. But I was like, Mama, I need to do this. Like, I need to do this. And she's fine now. It happened. Now we call every day. Everything's good. And sometimes parents just need a little push, you know? It's scary for them, too, when their kid goes off and does their own thing. And, yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you stuck around this long, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I guess I'll do my little plug that I do at the end of my podcast episodes. If you're interested in subscribing to the Patreon, it's $5 a month. Lots of bonus content on there. And next week's episode just went up on Patreon the same time that this episode came out. So you get episodes 1 week early, and you get all the other bonus stuff. You can check it out, see if it's for you. I think we have a 7-day free trial thing going on. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. And thank you. Love you. Good night.
Yeah, you got a friend in me.